Coming up is Kevin O'Connell set to join us, Tom?
Sure is.
He is, okay. The Vikings head coach. Vikings are 5-4, and they beat the Falcons, so they host the Saints this Sunday at the Broncos, host the Bears at the Raiders. All right, you got some wins in there. It's been a crazy season so far. Let me start with something that's totally away from your football resume. How aware were your friends that your dad was an FBI agent growing up? And did that prevent them from hanging out with you?
I believe they were aware, but I'd like to think I did not have a Bronco like Paulie. I think they were aware, but it didn't prevent them. He had a way of kind of disarming their fears of wiretaps and things like that. Maybe I did think twice every now and then before I would have a gathering of friends when my parents were out of town. I can tell you that.
What did he do with the FBI?
He did all kinds of stuff, Dan. He did all kinds of stuff. I'm very proud of him.
You're keeping it vague?
But in true family fashion, I'm going to keep it vague today.
Tell me how you kind of kept the confusion away from Josh Dobbs when you know you have to put him in, and he doesn't even know the names of his teammates. So what is your job in that moment?
Yeah, it was, so we have some ways in our offense where it might seem crazy to folks to say, how is this guy that's been here 5 days using the no huddle and giving cues to his teammates, going fast. But really on that last drive, that was probably the easiest it was all day because the coach to quarterback system really stays open almost the whole time if you're up until the snap, if you're above 15 seconds on the play clock. So that was probably the easiest all day. And that was probably when he was at his most comfortable, moment in the game, just because he had reps, he had had some success. He had kind of found a good balance with using his legs and working through some progressions. But we had it set up going in that if he went in the game, there were some plays that maybe he felt better than others from the complete menu that Jaron Hall went into the game with. There was only probably, I tend to go rogue sometimes, Dan, and start calling something that the guys maybe hadn't seen since training camp. There was only a couple of those where I had to explain to him what I was saying. I said, hey, just say this out loud and here's what it means, type of thing. Once again, I think this story is about Josh Dobbs. I think it's about his ability to use. Why we wanted to bring him in here was the experience over starting 9 games and playing in any offense. The beauty of that is you've at least played against NFL defenses. He had played against San Fran. He had played against the Giants. He had played against some good defenses where the speed of the game wouldn't overwhelm him. So I tried to make the moments in between snaps, just giving him clarity on the things that I would think of if I was in there. Okay, I remember what that play meant, but wait, which side is that on? Which side's that on? Hey, this is on your left. You're going to have, a corner and a flat over there, an in cut, and your check downs out there in the flat, like stuff like that, where, just give him paint a picture quickly in 7 to 8 seconds and then let him just go play.
Well, plus he's a very bright guy. When you decide if you want to be an astronaut or an NFL quarterback, I think he chose wisely there. But so you're talking to him the whole time in his headset. Yeah.
And I would just call, I would call the play or give him a wristband number and then just watch him walk into the huddle, call the play. And the second I saw those guys say ready, break, I started talking again, just as he walked to the line of scrimmage. And that's just a credit to another thing for Josh, how fast he got the guys in and out of the huddle. Not knowing some of their names might have helped because then he could just say, call the play, ready, break. And he didn't have to, I know I've seen some movie scenes where, the quarterback's calling guys out by their names and, hey, I need you to run this route. You're on the button hook and you're doing this. It was not like that because he would have not known most of the guys in the huddle. But it was fun for me. It was the closest thing that I felt like being on the field, at least mentally with the quarterback, since I got those really impactful snaps as a player that I did.
What's your most impactful snap that you remember when you played?
I remember the most impactful on me is I remember getting, we had a very successful game when I was in New England against the Cardinals late in the year. It was about 20 degrees. And I remember getting put in the game when we were up late. Cardinals eventually went on to be in the Super Bowl that year, but I went in there late. It was about 20 degrees. I couldn't feel my hands, and I rolled out to pass, threw about a 20-yard, comeback on the sideline to Matthew Slater, one of my best friends, and it went right through his frozen hands. And then Darnell Dockett hit me so hard that my face was completely covered in snot, and that was probably the most impactful, if I'm being honest. But no, I just remember what it was like to be, come off the bench, come off in moments, and have to walk in there, and things happen really, really fast. So, just as much as I could put Josh at ease the other day and then rely on his experience, I think I gave him the coaching point probably 10 times at the end of a lot of just, hey, do this, do that, do this. But it was always, don't forget about using your legs. Don't forget they got to defend you, mainly on those critical third downs, or, some of those plays that he made that really were game-changing, game-winning plays, like that 4th and 7 scramble to kind of set up the touchdown pass towards the end.
Talking to Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings head coach. How much can you learn from Brady by just watching him? And can you simulate that, emulate that when you go out on the field?
Yeah, I think I've kind of seen it from a lot of guys over the years, whether it was trying to emulate Brady, or even to me, sometimes I'll watch Jordan Love and I'll see him take a rep and it looks like Aaron Rodgers, or even Zach Wilson now, even the limited time he was around Aaron, you can see that. And I think that's what, good quarterbacks try to do when they're with someone of, that nature, a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback. They're like that for a reason. But it's not just how they play, Dan. It's what they do Monday through Saturday to prepare. It's what they do, how they interact with their teammates, how they lead, how they, my whole experience in New England, it really kind of shaped my whole football journey, because I probably wasn't mentally at that place coming out of, San Diego State, where I could absorb that whole offense, so much running through the quarterback, so much responsibility. But I certainly tried to learn it, and it kind of set a foundation for me throughout my football journey of an unbelievable starting point of, I might not have been, the best possible version of myself as a player in those moments. And there's 1,000 things I could have done better, but there's very few days that go by that I don't think about something, and how to apply it as a coach now, either being around Coach Belichick, being around Tom, being around a lot of, that roster in 2008 and 2009 in New England. I mean, you can name the Brewskis and the Vrabels, Rodney Harrison, Randy Moss, Wes Welker, Vince Wilfork. I mean, there were guys that I just remember. They might not have known me very well, but I was obviously very observant of those guys, and an unbelievable opportunity, for the journey that I would eventually go on now as a coach, to look back on that and be able to apply a lot of things that I learned.
Would you give up your healthy Achilles to give to Kirk Cousins if it meant that he would be able to play this season?
I absolutely would.
Okay.
And I don't think the folks down at, Lifetime Fitness would worry too much about losing me on the basketball court this offseason. They would find somebody else to step in, but I absolutely would do that, Dan.
When do you know that he's blown out his Achilles?
I kind of knew pretty quickly, just, watching him, react to, how he kind of went down. And I was shocked that he was able to, he climbed up in the pocket, and it actually happened when his back foot hit. And the way he went down, I kind of knew. And then, as he got to the sideline, I went over and just, you pretty much knew how he described it. He thought he had been, somebody had either hit him in the back of the leg, and clearly there wasn't anybody around him at the time. So I kind of knew. And, that was a tough moment. Kirk Cousins was playing as well as anybody in our league. And it was kind of my vision for him. And he did unbelievable things last year. He played the position at a high level last year, but where he was at, and just knowing some of the things that we were asking him to do, and how he was really running our offense, our whole offense was running through him, and really has had to do that since Justin's been out. The way he was, distributing the football around the field, I mean, getting us in and out of plays, really doing things that kind of was my master vision for him when I first came here, because I knew he was capable of it. And it would have been awesome to see him play 17 plus games in that, in that environment and that with that kind of comfort and quiet in mind that he was playing with. So that's really what I felt for the most for Kirk, just because of all the work that people don't always see. I think people got a glimpse through the Netflix show, but there's so much more to him than even that, which I thought was a really positive kind of look into what Kirk's all about.
When do you expect Justin Jefferson to be ready to go?
Yeah, he did a little individual in practice yesterday, and we'll kind of keep ramping him up. Look, Dan, we're going to make sure that he can go out there and feel like he's at 100% and be the Justin that we all know. Selfishly, you start thinking, well, maybe we can just put him in the red zone, or we can have a package for him there. But the right thing for him and our plans for Justin long term here in Minnesota, we want to make sure he's good to go. We want to make sure he feels like he's been ramped up and ready to roll. And we'll use this, kind of open window to do that, kind of where the bye week fell, kind of gave us a little bit of extra time that we can kind of open that thing up and get him back in walkthroughs. And he's been in meetings. He's been around his team the whole time. I mean, that's been the coolest part of a really tough situation for Justin, is just seeing how he's responded to this adversity and still been a great teammate. He's one of our captains, and you guys can see him on the sidelines. He's never not around that receiver group. He's never not picking those guys up whenever he feels like they need to. It's been really cool to see. I think he's, as I challenged him, let's use this adversity to grow and come out better on the other side. And he's done that, but there's no question I can't wait to get him back out there.
Good luck against the Saints. Always great to visit with you again, Kevin. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you guys, man.
That's Kevin O'Connell, Vikings head coach. Vikings are 5-4, second place in the NFC North, coming off the win against the Falcons. They got Saints at the Broncos, host the Bears at the Raiders. Those are all winnable games. Then they're at the Bengals, host the Lions, host the Packers. So